guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a very exciting video. I am introducing my 2022 Panda palette, and last year I actually got your help with voting what I wanted to do for my Panda palette, but this year I actually had a set idea for the last couple of weeks that I want to go with, so I think this is going to come as a bit of a surprise to you, but also maybe not, because I think this is a palette that you might have figured that I would pan at some point. But before we jump into any of that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's jump into what I've chosen for my 2022 Panda palette. So like I said, this actually might not come as a massive surprise to you guys, because like I said, it is a palette that I mentioned before several times that I want to pan, and that is actually my Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia. This was one that I almost decided to pan last year, but I opted for something smaller because I was also planning to pan some eyeshadows, like hit pan on some eyeshadows. So panning other eyeshadows completely would be super difficult to do alongside that. So the Panda palette that I worked on last year, which was the Urban Decay Naked Basics palette, was much smaller and something that I can use in every single day looks. But this is what my palette looks like currently. So you can see that I already have pan in a lot of the shades. I actually have pan in 9 out of the 14 shades, so already quite a decent amount. I still have a lot of product to go though, and the pans that I have, like they're only small pans. It's not like I've used up loads of the product in each pan, but that is where I'm starting with this palette. But obviously I will take pictures of this as well, so you can have a starting point. But yeah, that is where I'm starting with my Panda palette. And my idea with my Panda palette this year, because the reason why I wanted to just choose this palette is because, as you can see, it's a majority matte palette. It has 2 shimmers and one kind of satin shade, which is antique bronze right here, and then obviously the 2 shimmers right there. But it doesn't really have too many special exciting shimmers in it, and what I've decided to do is every month I'm going to do a focus palette to work on with this, and that is going to be a palette that I built myself with my singles. So I'm going to take my small magnet palette that I think can hold like up to, I think been like 9 eyeshadows, 12, might be 12 eyeshadows, and I'm going to pick out the shades that I want to work on for the month as complementary shades to this palette. So each month I might pick like a couple shades in here to work on. So for example, if I go for like these more berry tones, I might pick some more kind of purpley shimmers or more kind of cool toned shimmers to go with that. Or one month I might work on these like warm tone shades right here, and obviously pick more kind of gold shades or green shades even, just to complement this palette. And I won't pick just shimmer shades, I also will pick different mattes. So like I said, I might pick some more purpley mattes to go with these berry tones. I might pick, like I said, a green, because I feel like greens will go really well with these warm orangey yellows. So that's my plan with this palette. So that also means that I can rotate from my singles collection, because that's something that I feel like I've neglected, and I've purchased so many beautiful special shades in the last 2 years, especially from Cleona, which is where I have the most. I also have some from Glam Shop, I have some from the Pastel Roses. I also really recently made an order from Terra Moons, and I'm actually wearing one of their eyeshadows today on my lids, which is Helix Nebula, and it's a beautiful shade. But I want to reach for these special shades more often without feeling guilty about it, and I think doing that in combination with this Panda palette would be a really good idea. And that also means, like I said, that I will be able to get use out of this one but also combine it with other shades. So that is what I'm doing for my Panda palette, and like I said, this is where I'm starting, so you can see my instruction right here. But again, I will take a picture and I will also weigh this palette before I start using it. When it comes to my initial goals for the first month with this palette, I don't really have any specific set goals. I just want to start getting my footing with this palette and see where I want to focus first. Obviously I will kind of build a focus palette, like I said, around this palette, and I haven't decided exactly which shades I want to focus on, but we are more in, obviously still in winter, so I might go for these more cool tones. So I might pick these focus shades or like warm taupe, maybe from Fresco, maybe like these 2 reds as well, because I feel like those goes really well with those cool tones. And I think that's where I'm going to start. I'm also going to try to get the use out of these 2 shades, especially the more cool tone one, which is Vermeer, because yeah, I think I'm going to be able to use those quite often as in corner highlights mainly, but also as lid shades. And I think that's where I want to start with this palette. But again, I'm not going to put any specific goals or like hitting pan or anything, or you know, any more significant goals. I just want to focus on those shades this month, but also just getting use out of the palette as a whole to get an idea of where I want to continue for the next coming months. So that, like I said, is my starting point for my Panda palette. My goal with this will be to finish it completely, and I think I might be able to do that, but also it might be quite difficult. It depends on, again, what kind of projects I'm doing this year when it comes to eyeshadows. I'm gonna try to tone down the amounts of eyeshadow projects I'm doing this year a little bit to last year, because last year I focused a lot of eyeshadows, especially since I wanted to hit pan on 100 eyeshadows, and that meant I had eyeshadows in every single project. I had several eyeshadow projects going. I had my A to C eyeshadows, I had my Panda palette, I had Panda's eyeshadows, I had eyeshadows in my whole collection for the pan. I also started my DG pan in my battleship, so a lot of eyeshadows going around last year. And obviously some of them will still be going this year, but I'm going to tone it down a little bit just so I can focus more on my Panda palette and also just rotating through my collection a bit more. I will have another project starting, and one that I actually came up with myself that I think I'll be introducing in the next coming days. I haven't decided if I'm going to do Panda's eyeshadows yet this year. I am pre-filming this before Christmas, just so I have something to go up when I'm in Sweden, and also just like when I come back. So I haven't quite decided yet, but I'm sure by the time this video is up I have decided what I wanted to do. But I think if I do that, I'm going to still tone it down a little bit and maybe only work on 3 shades, but we'll just have to see. But when it comes to the Panda palette, I'm really going to try to focus on this and get as much use out of this palette as possible. I think if I don't finish it, I might decolor this at the end of the year, because it is really old. I got this in 2016 when I lived in Chicago, so that's 6 years this year, so it's getting quite old. And again, I have other formulas that I like better now. Like, this was amazing when it came out. I absolutely love this palette when it came out, but I don't know if it's just because it's getting old or because the formulas has improved, but it's not as good as it used to be. So I'm excited to be working on this though. It's a beautiful color story, and it is a classic, and it's also a very nostalgic palette, so I'd rather get some more use out of it than just decluttering it. So I'm very happy with my choice for this year. So let me know what you think of my Panda palette choice for this year. Would you have picked something different for me? Do you have any input on what I can do to help to get use of this palette, and or anything else? Also, if you're doing a Panda palette here on Instagram or just on your own, let me know what you're planning this year. And that is it. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.